Hey there, spooky friends, and welcome to yet another episode of Storytime. I think someone else has to woo this time.
Woo!
Nice.
You're welcome.
This is going to be a little bit different from the stuff you have heard in the past. I did make mention of this on our last Storytime episode and our last topic episode, but what we're going to be doing here is an actual play D&D game. We're going to go through a horror-themed story that I have created. We're going to have 4 people run through it, attempting to basically not die. It is going to be very fun. Most folks who are fans of the show are really going to enjoy this. Folks who are fans of the people that are playing are going to be a fan of this as well. So let's just go ahead and introduce who we have joining us today. And I'll go ahead and start with my wonderful co-host, as always, Robin Grace. Thank you so much for being here, Robin. Jeez.
Thank you for the introduction. Obviously, I co-host Scarish, and yeah, I'm going to get to play this game. I'm really excited.
Right on. So let's go ahead and move over to the other lady who is joining us today. Thank you for being here, Faye. We appreciate you being here for yet another D&D project.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and excited to play some Dungeons & Dragons. I'm a big scaredy cat, so I might run and grab a pillow during the middle of this game.
I don't think it'll be that triggering, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, Faye, you were nice enough to introduce us to your husband earlier this year, and we're so happy to have him here with us as well to play in this D&D game. We actually got to meet him during this summer, so thank you for being here, Ben.
Hey, yeah, I'm Ben. Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to do this, and I've got all the pillows on lockdown so that Faye can't grab one, so don't worry. I already tied them all up. So
Perfect. The pillows will be safe. Yeah. Faye, I don't know. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and introduce one of my oldest friends in the world. We've been working on podcasts, home movies, and announcements for high school. We've been doing this stuff together for 20 years. Thank you, Garrett, so much for being here today.
Hello, everybody, and Scariest crew. In most of Adam's stories from back in Indiana, I'm in half of them, and sometimes the subject of. So it's nice to be on the feed proper. And this isn't... once upon a time, Adam and I and Robin did the whole Edgar Allan Poe reading, which it
was very popular. We got tons of positive feedback for it, which was honestly all Garrett. So if you guys enjoyed...
No. That was that was a collaborative effort, and it was super fun. Like
Garrett literally wrote the entire script and sent it over and said, "Record each word individually, and I will just piece that shit all together."
And then I dated it 1885 and sent it back in time and. Anyway, yeah, very happy to be here, and this is going to be super fun. Oh, and I'm a wooer extraordinaire, so...
He is indeed, which is good, because my voice has not wanted to woo since we started the show back up from hiatus, so thank you so much for that.
Like, I can't believe you used to do that every week.
I think I blew it out back in, like, episode 100 or something, because it just has not been the same since. Anyways.
Faye and Garrett are your co-hosts for Twats of Twats, right?
Yep. I just assumed that everyone knew that since the numbers between Scarish and Twats are so similar. Like, obviously, everyone out there is listening to Twats, so it just made sense. Wheel of Time should be coming back this fall, so Twats will as well, but it all depends on that Rings of Power show. We'll see what happens with that. Amazon is kind of pushing everything out for that show to have some space to breathe. We might make a Ring of Power show and call it Trops of Trops.
Yeah. Trops of Trops.
That's my least favorite dinosaur.
Oh my God.
You know, hopefully by the time it comes out, I will have finished all the books because I'm on the second to last book.
God, she's going so fast with it.
Faye has finally gotten to the Sanderson part of the Wheel of Time, which I won't go into detail, but they're so fucking good.
It's so good.
It is a Herculean feat in the first place, but I am shocked at how fast you are doing this, and you have far surpassed wherever I read when I stopped the first time in high school, and I'm recatching myself up to it, but... You know, that's what we talk about here on the Wheel of Time show about the Wheel of Time show.
Let's go ahead and dive into this. Like I mentioned, folks, this is going to be horror themed. I'm going to set the scene, and then the players are going to take over and go from there. So they're going to get into their individual characters, which we will introduce. And then there will be some other characters they will interact with that I'm going to try and do voices for. I am terrible at doing voices, so we'll see how long it lasts before everyone's voice just becomes my voice. But all right. Here we go. The party has started off this particular one-shot by being brought to the newly renovated Dragonspear Castle. Side note, for fans of D&D, this is an actual place within Faerun, so kind of fun. This place has long stood as a ruin of an age long past. Battles have been fought on the ground these strangers currently walk on, as they approach what certainly would be called a massive ruin. The outdoor walls have been in disrepair for hundreds of years, simply managing to stay upright out of stubbornness and not stability. There are massive gaps that one could march an army through, 50 men shoulder to shoulder. I would like to ask you now, as you are approaching this castle, how did you travel here? Did you travel by foot, by horse, by carriage, by Uber? I don't know. How'd you do it?
Yeah, what's the status of fantasy Uber in this labor economy? Is that allowed?
We'll just say it's a carriage.
Okay.
Like, they just talk way too much while they're driving you,
I
though.
love it.
Aw.
Also known as Fuber.
Fuber?
Uber.
So my character, Brendan O'Braden, is definitely walking and probably flying at certain points because I'm playing a druid. And so we'll have probably morphed into a bird at some point.
Oh, God, druids are so fucking cool. All right, who's next?
A half-orc, massive slab of individual is lumbering by solely on foot. He is disgusting looking and is named Mouser.
I am a tabaxi because I'm always a tabaxi because I love cats. But just imagine just a tall black cat who's seen some things and is just completely haunted by something. My name is Zara with 2 R's, not to be confused with the Soar with 1 R. And I am just an absolutely wrecked individual who's walked here on foot.
All right.
And in a carriage that was paid for is a gnome whose name is Waggle with 2 G's. Who is in pretty, like, moderately fancy clothing, you know? Like, pretty well dressed up and is extremely comfortable in his carriage.
All right. I am very happy to hear that at least one of you didn't walk here because this is very mountainous terrain that Dragonspear Castle rests in. In fact, there's only one way in through a mountain pass before you get to an easier to travel road. Regardless of your conveyance, whether it was feet or carriage, you did get to a point where everything just felt wrong or weird. And in case of Waggle, his carriage driver basically told him to get out, pulled reins on his horses and said, "This is as far as I'm going to take you. You're going to have to get out and walk from here." And the horses clearly refused to go any further. And among the words that spilled from this carriage driver's mouth when he was saying no further, the words haunted and cursed came out. You are now currently on foot, and the carriage and its horses have left as if they were being chased by the devil himself.
Yeah, I give no tip to clarify. Oh my god.
1 star, motherfucker. Yeah. Sorry. So you're all traveling separately, but you're converging on the same destination. You're walking up this steep, long roadway, and through this massive opening in these broken walls, you can see that there is something contained within that appears to be glowing. The invitation that you all received individually boasted of a, quote, newly renovated Dragonspear Castle and a treasure, quote, beyond measure that awaited you within. Of course, that wasn't the reason any of you are currently hiking up this steep roadway in these treacherous conditions. There was also a cryptic line at the end of each of your individual letters that made it clear that whoever had sent it to you knew of a deep, dark secret from your past, a secret that you may do anything to keep hidden, but only time will tell if that's the case. I would now like to ask all of you, what is that deep, dark secret?
What?
If you cannot tell me what your deep, dark secret is, because I'm putting everyone on the spot, I didn't ask anyone to prepare this, just tell me what the single line is at the bottom of your letter that was cryptic enough to motivate you to come here across the world.
Listener, I would like to point out we were not prompted for this. This is all coming off
Nope.
straight off the dome for
Rick
every single player
improv.
here.
I wanted these to be off the dome.
All right, Mouser, it says, the last line is, "I know what gives you your greatest pleasures, and everyone else's..."
Yuck.
Yeah. Fuck.
And yuck.
And, yeah. And yuck. Okay, that's the... Is that the title of this campaign? And yuck.
And yuck.
And yuck.
Kink Shame Castle.
Should have written back, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Does anyone want one of the prefabs I have prepared?
I think I got one.
Okay, take it away.
For the end line for my invitation says, "Your dark actions have even darker consequences."
Okay, I like it.
I think mine, it probably starts with Dear Waggle, and then it ends with From Straggle.
Oh, God.
That's the line.
Interesting. I am intrigued.
And I think mine is going to, at the very end, say, "And if you don't come, the world will know you as Brendan Tree Killer."
Oh, shit. That's heavy as
True.
fuck for a druid.
For a druid?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. The letters all end at the very bottom, signed very elaborately, sincerely, the
Straggle.
Count.
Straggle.
Straggles and all this, actually.
Count Straggle.
As you're going up this hill, you're thinking back on that deep, dark secret that has driven you to come to such a desolate place. But this place, however, is not renovated, as it stated in that letter. Jonathan and Drew Scott have not been here because this place has not been renovated. It looks like shit.
I'm assuming not open
Oh,
concept.
Straggle.
Not open concept because there's like no fucking walls, sure. Yeah, they don't just go in there with a sledgehammer and knock down all the walls and they're like, boom, we're done. So, all right. As you walk deeper into these castle grounds, you turn a corner past a desolate building and you're finally able to see where this glow is coming from. Standing at what appears to be the center of these castle grounds is a sprawling mansion taking up a massive amount of space. The upper windows and rooftop are clearly visible over a hedge that looks out of place. It surrounds this mansion and it's verdant and lush. The druid would actually notice that this is, one, out of place, and two, in such great shape. It doesn't match this desolate landscape at all. And as you pass through the opening in the hedge, the gravel road transitions into a stone walkway, so clean it looks nearly polished. The front of the mansion shows stairs leading up to its double doors. They're massive, twice the height of a man. Inside, lights burn bright. The mansion appears to be a bright spot at the center of this blighted land. Perhaps the Property Brothers did come here. Upon ascending the stairs, the image of a large receiving hall comes into focus with a large, round, wooden table sitting just past the entrance. And above it, a massive chandelier of what appears to be ivory. As you walk up those stairs, you find yourself very impressed with the building. It is beautiful inside. You turn and look back just to compare the desolate landscape you've just approached from, and you see the sunset. The sun still has about an hour left before it vanishes behind the jagged mountains that surround you, but there are black clouds rolling in that show that the light will be vanishing far sooner. A storm is coming. This thought is echoed by a lightning strike that hits the mountains. Rocks and debris seem to explode off the side of the mountain and begin tumbling down. You know it in your bones before you see it with your eyes. This rock slide obliterates the mountain pass. The way in, the way out. That asshole Uber driver and his carriage, they are gone.
Oh, thank God.
Leaving
There's a
will
God.
now be an adventure all on its own. Your knees buckle and your arms instinctively go up to protect yourself as the thunder booms through the area, rattling the windows and sending rocks tumbling from the ruined buildings just outside the hedges.
I would like to point out, I don't flinch.
Okay, Robin doesn't flinch, because we all know how well cats deal with lightning and thunder.
Just got a +4 to Thunder shirt.
You turn around, grit your teeth, and step inside the mansion. The table holds only two things: a large candelabra with 14 candles, freshly lit, and a note written in an elegant handwriting that looks similar to the signature from the letter, and it reads simply, "All guests, please wait in the library." A quick glance around shows multiple rooms to your right and left, and more further down the receiving hall as well. The room to your right and left currently have large double doors that are closed. Ahead, though, 20 feet on the left, there is a room with open doors and the sound of a crackling fire coming from within. I would now like to ask you, which one of you would arrive first? Because not everyone gets here at the same time.
Mouser would not arrive early due to promptness or you just get there when he would get there, but He's not a smart individual. He actually probably couldn't even read his invitation. He was told what it was.
He's like, mail? Who the fuck sent me mail? I can't read.
Yeah, exactly. Someone actually kind of benefactored him into being here. So he can be first if you'd like.
All right. Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. So, Mouser, you get there first. Fuck. We might want to have someone get there first who can read the note that I just said.
Okay, Mouser arrives second.
Waggle
fuck.
can read.
All right. Let's say Waggle's there first.
I
He
took
took
a
a carriage.
yeah.
That moves faster. That
He's
makes
swearing
sense.
the whole way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Perfect. Thank you. Waggle. You see this room that has the large open doors and the crackling fire within, and as you step inside, the room is large, bigger than some of the homes in the towns you passed on your way here. It has 3 sitting couches, several large chairs, and one massive chair reminiscent of a throne. That chair is placed atop a gray rug that appears to be made from a direwolf that would have been massive compared to even other direwolves. It is set directly in front of a fireplace that 2 men could stand within without bumping their noggins. Not currently, as there is a fire that emanates from within, warming the room. You do notice that this massive throne chair is not directed at the fireplace as if you were going to read in front of the fire, but instead is aimed at the door as if it's waiting for you. This fireplace is an ornately carved piece of stone, appearing, despite the improbability, to be a single piece of stone running from the floor to the roof and beyond. A relief is carved into the stone face that depicts a hand throwing 2 dice, d6s, appearing to be on the verge of landing on a 6 or 1. The walls are otherwise covered, head to toe, in wooden shelving stocked with books, manuscripts, scrolls, maps, atlases, everything and anything you would hope to find in a great library. This particular library is, without a doubt, one of the most impressive collections you have ever seen. Now, I openly acknowledge that some of you people listening to this might just be envisioning this library and are like, I don't want to leave this room, but come on, I need my players here to stay motivated. You got to venture out of here sooner or later. Thank you. The only other object that is in this room is a wooden box about the size of a coffin standing upright to your left against a wall. Halfway up it has a glass panel that shows you a large human-esque doll within with a fortune teller outfit. And above her is a sign that reads Zoltan.
Okay. I was going to ask, what is the fortune teller's outfit?
Have you ever seen Big?
I mean, that's, yeah. I mean, it had to have been what you were getting this from.
Exactly. The fortune teller machine that he goes to wish that he could be big. That's the exact same thing we're looking at here. Except that this fortune teller's a chick, and I think the one in the movie was a dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Zoltan's like a unisex.
Zoltan is whatever Zoltan wants to be. Upon closer inspection, the doll actually appears to be carved out of wood with finely worked details. Waggle. What do you do? Do you stand? Do you inspect something? Do you go to the chair? Do you want to check out Zoltan?
Oh, definitely to this fortune teller thing.
All right. Its eyes appear to be following you as you approach, but otherwise it seems like it's just standing perfectly still.
It's pretty standard for creepy fortune tellers. I inspect it. Is there a place to place a coin or other device to get my fortune?
There doesn't appear to be a spot to put a coin or anything like that, or anything where you could try and fetch a fortune. It seems like this is just a display.
Okay, I kind of I shake it a little bit. Like, yeah, that was my fortune.
As you rattle it, nothing really happens, but you realize that as this thing's moving back and forth, its eyes are locked onto your eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Never mind. Okay, that's too much. That's too much. All right, I'm gonna go. Can I ask something in general? Why? So I get the fireplace. Sounds gorgeous, but why do libraries consistently have fireplaces? This is like a general question.
It's funny because when I was designing this scene, I was like, make sure the fireplace is stone so there's no heat transfer to the books.
I see the specific. Okay, yeah.
I think it's for dramatic effect, so you need to be like, you read something you didn't want and threw it in the fire.
Okay, but it's everything else is stone because, yeah, Faye and I have discussed this about possible home buying options. Like, why would you have a fireplace in the... Anyways.
In the flammable area, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it seems a little counterintuitive. Okay, well, I'm going to pick a random book and then take a seat at the farthest chair from the fortune teller. And I'm just going to peruse the book. And I picked it random.
Sounds good. As you sit down, you can see across the hall, and there's a room with a sign that says gasoline storage room and has an even bigger fireplace, so that's cool.
We should go into there for sure. This place is wild.
Are the rest of us there yet, or are we still waiting?
Indeed, actually, Waggle,
Okay.
you hear footsteps approaching, and as you look up, you see what appears to be a massive half-orc. I know you said you were ugly, but give us some more descriptors.
When I say ugly, I mean, like, he is so primitive that it's borderline, like, uncivilized. Like, he's half orc, but grew up with orcs, and his tribe was, like, barely living in any sort of remote technology, including, like, houses. He's, like, living from caves and stuff like that.
So your loincloth doubles as like a hand towel.
Yeah, like, the word barbarian is as close to, like, Conan as possible. So
Okay, that's a good gross picture I have in my mind's eye now.
Love it.
What do you do as you turn the corner and you see a gnome sitting there reading a book?
I sniff the air, and is there any food in this room or no?
You do not smell any food.
Okay. I just survey, and I see the gigantic direwolf throw rug on the ground, and I look over, like, I walk around to the front of it. I'm assuming it's like that bearskin rug where its, like, head is splayed out in the bottom. Yeah. And I get down on all fours and, like, actually even go prone, and, like, my face is on the ground looking straight at its eyes.
And that is where you are when the next person enters the room. Who's going to be next?
I'll go in. That's cool.
All right, so you walk in, and what you see is a gnome that's half reading a book and half watching this
What
fucking
the
weird
hell?
half-orc lay on the ground staring into the eyes of the direwolf rug.
Wait, did you answer the question whether there was a coin slot or anything?
There is not. It looks like it's just a display case with, like, something being
That's
displayed from within.
unfortunately because I have a silver coin I totally want to stick in there. All right. I had a string too. I was going to pull it back out.
Damn, dude. Trying to rig all the games already.
I'm a thief. What do you expect? Okay, I see this weirdo on the ground just staring at this thing. I see a gnome reading, and my absolutely unemotional / annoyed character just walks to a chair closest to the fortune-telling apparatus, unfazed by how creepy it is.
So I want you to picture this. This is how the furniture is arranged, okay? There's, like, the fireplace, which is directly across from the door. And then there's this massive throne-like chair. And then directly to that chair's right and left are these large sitting couches. And then after that, there's a bunch of chairs. And then off to the corner on the opposite side of the Zoltan machine is one more sitting couch. It's like an extra sitting area, and that is where Waggle is. And then you are sitting on one of the individual chairs that is on the opposite side of where Waggle is, so you guys could be locking eyes with this weird fucking orc laying on the ground in between you.
It's like a fascination. It's a curiosity with the death of seeing one of these things close up and seeing perhaps what it was like in life.
Once you've taken your seat, you hear footsteps behind you, and in walks the fourth member of our party.
Imagine, like, the most spacey, hippie person you can think of, who's probably, like, militantly vegan, and that is Brendan. So she walks in and is like, "Hello, have I missed anything?" And she sees the direwolf, like, rug on the floor, and she immediately is like, "You poor creature," and also gets on the floor and starts to pet.
Oh my
the
god!
direwolf head.
No.
Mouser looks over to you and is just like, "Beautiful. Yeah."
Yes, this was a beautiful creature. Who would have done this?
Mm-hmm.
And says like a druidy prayer over the direwolf.
Okay, very noble.
All right. So, all right, as you are saying your prayer and the rest of you are just sort of generally existing in this room, you hear the sound of footsteps approaching in the receiving hall. However, this time, it sounds like it's a group. The footsteps all walk in at once, and then they stop for a moment. And you hear some talking that you can't quite make out with your passive perception. So everyone go ahead and roll perception checks, and we'll see what you are able to pick up of this audio. For those of you who are new to D&D, they're rolling a 20-sided dice. They're going to get a number there, and it has to go against a number that I basically make up. And if it's higher than that, then I get to tell them what they hear.
I got 15.
Master's 12.
19.
13.
All right, Zara and Waggle are the two that actually hear the voices in the hallway and what they're saying. Since you're at this point all individuals, you don't have to share this knowledge with the other people, but you will know that this happened. It's up to you if you want to share it with someone else.
Yeah, we're good.
You're going to hear the following. Out in that entryway, you hear someone say, "I don't like this, Dad. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have come." That is responded to by an older, more grizzled, gruff voice that says, "Quit your belly aching. We're here now, aren't we? Besides, if this person knows about the you-know-what, we need to find them and take care of it." And then there's this long pause after he says that. And then you hear, "I mean kill them." And the first goes, "I know what you meant." And then the third voice says, "Yeah, we all knew what you meant, Dad. Jesus." And then another very long, awkward silence that just stretches on. And then all four of you hear footsteps resume, heading towards the library.
Man, what Wes Anderson film was that from?
I think it's the Grand Budapest Dragon Spear Hotel.
I kind of got Owen Wilson on one of those guys.
I thought it was Hagrid. I was like, what?
Every single character in this is reminiscent of a character from something else. This is the part where if this is a movie, there would be that disclaimer, like, any likenesses are coincidental.
Fictional.
Yeah. Just imagine that goes right here, because these aren't actual depictions of those people, just characters that are inspired by them. And these are people I actually admire.
We didn't get Jason Schwartzman on the pod today? Damn.
He was busy just
Unfortunately, no,
Yeah.
not this time. So, as you listen to this, Zara, I want to know how you react to it.
My ear tilts to the direction of the door, but I don't actually turn my head. My face just starts to get, like, really upset, and I don't say anything. I'm just starting to get really annoyed, not even concerned.
Okay, Waggle?
Yeah, Waggle will stare more intently at the book and try to, like, listen harder, you know? I mean, though you're turning, but no, actually, you know, Waggle, I think, would get up and then try to figure out what direction that they were coming from. And just kind of, like, casually, you know, like, lean against the wall, like, awkward casually, to, like, you know, in that direction.
Trying to cross around like a cool guy, but still somehow managing to balance this
while
book
still
with one
holding
hand.
the thing to read a book, yeah.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Although your perception checks weren't high enough, Mouser and Brendan? How do you say your name?
Brendan.
Brendan. You do notice the reaction of Zara's face contorting and her ears moving, and then you see Waggle change his position, so to speak. Do you react to that at all?
Brendan will probably have finished saying the prayers by now, and she kind of, like, dries some tears and sits up.
So this is, I think, the first time, actually, that Mouser is going to see Zara. So how does your half-orc barbarian character react to seeing an anthropomorphic cat person?
Well, funny enough. So as he's kind of getting up and I think finally just noticing Waggle for the first time, too, and then having a moderate interaction with Brendan, he sees a standing cat and goes, ah, and runs over to plant himself in front of you and, you know, a bit awkwardly is staring at you and like very much like all up in your biz and is like trying, like poking at like your face and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Oh, God.
You look so real.
Is this a cosplay?
I just move my paw in front of my face and, like, pop my claws. I'm just like, please.
Ooh, these two.
Stop
And he's
touching
holding
my
your
face.
hand. He holds your paw.
And then I just slap my hand around, like, stop touching my face.
So in the middle of this scene of you touching her paw and face, in walk 4 halflings. These are the people that you're hearing approach. One halfling is gray and grizzled. He's older. He's well put together. He has a very nice goatee around his mouth that's groomed very well, but it is completely gray. And upon seeing you, he smiles widely, revealing pearly, perfect white, straight teeth. The 3 other halflings appear to be of middling age, around the age that they could be his children. One is the shortest of the group, with short, cropped brown hair and no facial hair to speak of. His face seems kind, with eyes that seem to be bright and filled with life, behind some Harry Potter-esque frames. The next tallest, which would be the middle one, I'd say, has blue hair and spectacles that are wide rim frames, and a brown beard that covers pretty much his whole face and blends perfectly into his hair as far as length goes, but the color does change immediately to blue at his hairline. And the last is the tallest of the group, but as a halfling it still does make him shorter than the rest of you, including Brendan. He has a baby face. His eyes are the most piercing, beautiful blue out of all four of them. He, by far, has the most haunted look within those eyes, though. In this moment, I'm going to need history check from Mouser and Zara. I need a history check from Waggle with advantage, and Brendan, you do not have to roll this.
Ooh.
Mouser's history check is 14.
I have 18.
13.
Zara, you do know who stands before you. Waggle and Mouser, these four do look familiar, but you can't quite place. In fact, Mouser, you knew them right away, and then it just sort of left your brain because you got that -1. So it's like you had it, and then you lost it. Mm-hmm. That said, because Brendan, I don't know why.
Yeah, it's her.
Because Brendan,
Fantasy Brendan.
It's Brendan O'Braden.
I keep looking over and I see like an A and an E, and it overlaps and it messes with everything. Because Faye chose to have their character be a halfling, this is just sort of like a racial passive because you know exactly who these four are. They are very, very famous bards who are famous for their spoken word stories. They are famous to a point. In certain circles, they are known very well and they are beloved, but not widely to everyone. And these halflings smile and nod nicely, and then they move slowly into the room, stepping with one another until they get to a couch, and they all sit down at the same time. And your passive perception tells all of you that they are very nervous. Zara, you also know this. You've actually seen them perform at a tavern previously, so you recognize them when they came in. And you remember when they were telling that story, people were hanging on every word. So you are the two who recognize these four. And as they sit, the oldest says, "Are you the ones who sent the invitation?"
Can Brendan just kind of like run over and clasp the older halfling by the hands?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like kneeling on the ground?
As soon as you kneel, he's like, "Oh, that's a
What are their
that's a bit
names,
much, so."
by the way?
You just grasped the hand of Clintonian, who's sitting next
Oh
to
my
Justonian,
God.
Traviston, and the most famous of all four because it said he is a mythical creature turned to halfling known as a griffin.
What are their last names in this world?
McElroy is their last name.
Oh, nice.
Oh, McElroy.
Of course.
Damn it.
I'm gonna grasp his hand. I'm gonna say, Mr. McElroy, I am your biggest fan. Will you sign my shillelagh?
Whoa. That's very forward.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
In fact, I would like all four of you to sign this shillelagh.
They all look at each other and nod in agreement, and then the older one says, "Do you have a fantasy pen or fantasy Sharpie?"
Yeah, I'll give him a fantasy Sharpie.
A Farpy.
A Farpy.
They all sign it, and it says, like, "To my biggest fan," and then their signatures. And then Clintonian says, "It's been wonderful to speak to you." And then the one you know as Justonian says, why the fuck are we here? I know why we're here. Why the fuck are you here? Who are you people?
Can we say that Mouser entered the room, crouched down, crawled over, laid on the ground to the direwolf. Then he kind of like on all fours scurried over to the tabaxi, and now he, for the first time, he's standing up to his full height, which is like 7 feet tall. He is, I don't know how tall the tabaxi is, but everything else is like capping at 4, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's pretty short in this room.
Yeah, I think I'm 6'3" or 6'4".
Okay,
like that.
so he's looking like he's hanging out with he's like a teacher in a daycare center or something like that.
You're basically at a daycare right now, 100%.
Or the magic school bus. Heck yeah.
So yeah, the McElroys are asking questions, and he doesn't even care. He's just kind of like on cloud nine, like looking at everybody, all these cute little things, just being in the same room as him.
Because I'm so stealthy, like I literally have a plus 11 to stealth.
Oh my god!
I don't know how that fucking happened.
It's because you're a rogue, and rogues are fucking nuts.
Can I just quickly like appear behind the McElroys, and I just shove my head between them and just say, like, why so nervous? What are your secrets?
Jesus Christ. Well, okay. You can try. Go ahead and roll your stealth.
436.
17.
All right. So because Clintonian is distracted with shaking hands, he doesn't notice. And because Justonian just gave his little speech, he also does not notice. However, Traviston and Griffin sort of see you start getting all shifty, and they just like follow you with their eyes. And you can hear them mumble under their breath, like, what the fuck is she doing? So when you pop up, they don't freak out. But Justin and Clintonian are like, Justinian says, if you haven't noticed...
Can I also roll an intimidation?
Let me answer the question from your first roll, and then we'll see if a second roll can follow for intimidation. Justinian says, if you haven't noticed, we're in the middle of this horrible blasted lands with this weird oasis in the middle of it, with this beautiful mansion, and we got this cryptic message in a letter, and then we walk in here, and there's an anthropomorphic cat being stared at by a super ugly, no offense, half-orc, or full orc, it's hard to tell. All I know is you're super ugly, and there's a druid that was praying when we came in, and then they turned out to be a fan of ours and asked us for our autograph. This is some weird shit. And then there's a cool-looking gnome over there. I don't know why he's holding on to that book.
Agreed.
Wouldn't you be nervous? Are you not nervous?
Ben, can you tell us what the book is by now?
Yeah, I got it's a cookbook. it's a great cookbook.
Are you just looking on the bookshelf next to you?
Yes. It was either that or a gynecology book, so I figured cookbook.
Whoa.
But yeah.
They're doctors, listeners. They're doctors. That's cool to be in their house.
All right, you can go ahead and roll the intimidation check.
18.
Okay. All of the younger McElroys are properly intimidated, but you seem to notice that even after everything that just happened, Justonian's speech, Clintonian is completely unaffected by your intimidation. He doesn't seem to care. He was surprised, but he is not threatened. He's got that smile still on that you can tell is fake, like when you've taken a bunch of pictures at a wedding and after like the 1,000th picture, like the bottom of your face is still smiling, but the top of your face doesn't match at all because it's just dead inside from all the pictures you've fucking taken. That's the smile that's staring back at you. And before they can be intimidated, they are saved by the bell because you hear footsteps coming from the hallway. So the sounds of footsteps can again be heard coming from the receiving hall, but this time, when you hear the footsteps stop, the silence hangs for quite some time, and there's no words being spoken at all in that hallway. And then the footsteps return, and in walks another group, but this time, they are clearly not related. They're a ragtag band here, but despite not being related, they appear to be a group. Immediately, though, one individual pulls the eye of everyone in the room, and they are a strikingly beautiful elf with an elaborate but elegant hairstyle, sharp but chiseled cheekbones, and a beautiful jawline. And as that elf stops to take you in, they stand with their hips cocked to the side and their hand resting on the pommel of a rapier, and their stance is all at once sexy, laid back, and dangerous. Standing to their right is a barbarian, a full chest, shoulders, and head taller than this beautiful elf. In fact, he's around 6 inches taller than your barbarian.
No fucking way.
He is bald. His skin is white with red markings. He looks like Kratos if he were much, much taller and a little bit skinnier.
It's a bummer that you and I know each other so well because I know exactly what you're pulling from now.
God of War.
He stands staring at you while eating what appears to be a whole fried chicken. On the other side of the beautiful elf is a gnome of pale complexion, and they're wearing cloth armor. They're clearly not suited for battle. In fact, you wonder how they got here alive. It essentially, to you guys as human beings, like he's wearing a t-shirt, but to you guys as adventurers, he's wearing this weird cloth armor that has a single word on the chest. It must be a god of some forgotten origin, and it says Zadiko. His trousers also run a tad on the tight side and are certainly far too short. He seems to be standing in a way that, for some baffling reason, shows off his ankles.
God damn it. Oh,
God damn it.
To his left is the plainest human being you could ever imagine. Like, you know how when your brain makes up people in your dreams for like a background character? Like someone who looks memorable but entirely ordinary to the point that you may forget them as soon as you look away.
If Zach ever listens to this, she's going to be like, fuck you.
I think I'm being meaner about Ned right now, but...
Is this the Try Guys? What is happening?
Here's the Try Guys. For this super plain male human being, despite the fact that he is so plain, he does have a beautiful red beard and eyes that seem to shine with a challenge for anyone who wants to compete at literally anything. And they look over the inhabitants of this room and slowly move in without saying a word, taking seats at individual chairs. Zara, the barbarian approaches you because apparently barbarians are very obsessed with tabaxi. And no, I did not coordinate with Garrett on this one before we recorded. And as he approaches you, you notice he's holding a potion of some kind that he is sprinkling on his chicken before he bites into it. And he's making solid eye contact with you as he approaches, but he's still eating. And he leans down very close to your face, making it clear that barbarians don't have any respect for personal space. And without stopping his chewing, he leans down and hands you the potion. It's orangish with red flakes. Then he leans down even further, so close that you have to lean back to avoid the chicken grease from splattering on you. And he says in a low voice,
"It goes great on burgers and tacos also."
and then he smiles at you and he takes a chair.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Seriously though, Keith's chicken sauce is so fucking good. Get some. So,
Do we recognize this group too?
roll a history check, but this time the DC is 20.
I rolled a 23. No joke.
I have 19.
8. No idea.
Mouser doesn't even. Yeah, he doesn't register people.
So for this one, Brendan and Zara, you actually do recognize this group. This is a very famous group of mercenaries. They are hired for a variety of tasks, anything like construction, putting together furniture without instructions, making something without a recipe, or leading an army. This group will take on any task, and even though they might not succeed, they will try.
Oh my
Brendan's
god.
gonna do the exact same thing that they did with the McElroys, and run up to the elf and grasp their hand and say, "Oh, you genius! I am your biggest fan. Will you sign my shillelagh?"
When you grasp their hand, they say, "It's Eugenia," and they scoff, flip their hair, and then they walk away from you. You also notice two things when this happens. The elf goes and sits in the throne as a chair, like a boss-ass bitch. Just sits down like that's the chair that's there for them all along. The other thing you notice as they walk away is the McElroys are very upset at how quickly you got over them.
The Mouser, sorry, he doesn't really want to have a long interaction, but he wants to talk to the other barbarian. And, like, he just goes up to him, again, invading personal space at whatever couch he's sitting in, and, like, points to the chicken. He's like, Where'd you get that? Is that here?
I brought it.
From outside?
I had 10. This is my last one.
Can I have some?
Roll a persuasion
Yeah.
to see if this barbarian who loves fried chicken so much will share any of it with you.
Okay, well, that is a 7 minus 1, 6.
Oh no.
Guys, my stat sheet is awesome.
He's not offended by the question. He understands the desire for fried chicken, but he's like,
Nah. When I'm finished, though, you can smell my breath.
Okay.
But he
Yeah. Dude, you're done?
breathing into your face.
You're done already? I'll take the carcass.
No. That's an appetizer.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's sick. Cool. I sit down right next to him and I watch him the entire time.
I feel so uncomfortable watching this.
This is so awkward.
Hey guys, I don't like playing this. This was a bad choice on my part.
In this moment, Zachariah, you notice he's already taken out his own fantasy Sharpie, and he's signed your shillelagh. He's written this really long paragraph. It's a very sweet story.
Love
He's
it.
just being super attentive. And although the barbarian who you know as Keith didn't sign, it was just because of the excitement of seeing another barbarian in a tabaxi and, hawking his chicken sauce. So there's no hard feelings there. And then, the last of the mercenary group walks over, and he's not really reluctant, but he's not super excited. He just takes the fantasy Sharpie and he signs it in an elegant hand, and then he takes his seat.
In her very spacey voice, Brendan says, "So, why is everyone here?"
So Eugenia from the throne tosses a leg over the arm, sitting there and says, we were invited? Why are you here?
I sassily go, we were invited.
I want you to roll intimidation. Just do intimidation.
We need a sass check.
All right.
Yeah. There should be a sass check.
24.
Okay. They legitimately laugh. It sounds like their real laugh, and they raise an eyebrow and smirks at you. And when that happens, everyone's quietly watching this interaction between the two of you, and then the light flicker a little bit, just a little bit, and the room goes dark just for a brief moment. It's as if you blinked, and suddenly there's a figure standing right next to that throne. And he's very tall. He's not as tall as the barbarian, but he's still quite tall. He wouldn't have to look up very far to look you in the eyes. He appears to be a human man with very, very well-cropped black hair. He also has a goatee that comes to a fine point as well. He's wearing these beautiful clothes that have this cloak draped over them, and he says, "Please do not sit in my chair." And in that moment, Eugenia just jumps like out of the chair, totally startled, clearly upset that this person entered the room and no one noticed, and just stands up and moves to a different chair and sits down like he was never in the throne in the first place.
Can I snarkily add, you should have checked yourself before you wrecked yourself?
Eugenia is not even paying attention to your snark at this point. They are just eyes on this person who has just entered the room. And I'll let you guys interact before the NPCs step in.
Are we all startled that this happened?
It's up to you, or you could roll for it.
Yeah. What's a startling?
If it were a 3.5, I'd say will, so I think that translates to
Oh,
wisdom, maybe?
Guys, Mouser's strong suit, wisdom. And he rolled a botch, a literal 1. So, 1 minus
gosh.
1 is a 0.
Oh no. I got 11.
I got a 9.
Yeah, 8. Drop the cookbook.
All right.
Oh!
The cookbook slips from your hand, slams on the floor, and closes shut. Everyone kind of jumps a little bit. You weren't as startled as Eugenia, but Mouser, because you rolled a 0, a literal 0, I think you scream when this happens.
Yeah, I scream. I draw my great axe.
The tall, handsome human man looks over at you with a placid expression and takes a seat at the throne and says, "Will you please put that away and have a seat, Mouser?"
Oh. How'd you know his name?
I know all your names.
Mouser puts the axe. He sits down, but he puts the axe across his lap as opposed to wherever barbarians store it otherwise.
I'm pretty sure you just like hover it at your back and then it just like
Yeah, and then it disappears into my polygonal backpack.
Once everyone's kind of like settled down a little bit, he just gestures anyone that's still standing to sit down. And Clintonian says, "I take it you're the Count?" And who appears to be the Count says, "What gave it away? Were you expecting 1, 2? Ah, ha, ha." Just kidding. We don't want to get sued. He makes introductions and introduces everyone to everyone else, clearly showing off that he knows your names. But now your players know the names of everyone in the room, regardless of whether or not you rolled a history check properly. So you can refer to anyone by their name moving forward. Then he says, "You have all come here for a good reason, and those good reasons are yours to keep for now. My reasons for gathering you here are my own, so don't bother asking. That exposition will come in couple of hours for the people playing the game and a few episodes if you're listening." And at this point, the eldest halfling, Justonian, speaks up and says, "Look here, boyo. We know you have something that belongs to us, and we fully intend..." And then he's just cut off. The Count just says, "Have you heard of the Wishing Orb?" And when he says that, every one of you knows what this is. So the Wishing Orb is essentially of the level of famous as the Holy Grail, where everyone on Earth knows what it is, basically. The Wishing Orb has lore just like the Holy Grail, and it states that whoever finds it can make one wish, and that single wish will be granted. Sort of like a genie without the whole monkey's paw thing. It'll just work. And so as soon as he says that, Justonian shuts up. Doesn't say anything else. This orb is something that you guys have all heard of, and people don't really talk about it. It's like, would you talk about the Holy Grail in normal conversation? To bring it up would be very odd, and this person has brought you all here, and this is what he's decided to start talking about. And the Count says, "It is here, in this mansion, and while I cannot tell you where yet, I will tell you it is hidden behind a door that I cannot open. The keys to opening that door, however, are hidden within this mansion, and in order to get them, it will take great skill and cunning, and let's say a proper motivation that your predecessors did not have." And from within his robes, he pulls out an object. And at first, it looks like some sort of jewel. And then as you're looking closer at it, you realize it's slightly shaped in an oblong manner, so it's almost the shape of a key. It also happens to be glowing with a pulsing blue light. And if you're thinking of something to compare it to, the color is just like the Tesseract from the first Avengers movie. It has that luminescence to it. You also notice, based off your passive perceptions, the Count is holding it while wearing gloves.
Wait, so is that a key, that thing? What is that?
Yeah, so this is one of the keys that he's describing as what could open the door to lead you to that wishing orb. And he says, "There are 3 more just like it. Find them, and I will show you the door. What you wish for is your concern, not mine. But once the wish is made, then we can all leave this place. I should also mention, none of you can leave until a wish is made."
Why not?
What is this?
How do we know? Yeah, how do we know once we find your stupid keys and open the stupid door that you're not gonna stab us in the back? And then Wag will start pointing like a finger gun. He just kind of makes his hand to a finger gun and starts pointing it at the Count. How do we know you're not just gonna waste us? Why shouldn't we just waste you?
The lights flicker again, and that blinking effect happens again with the darkness, and then he's just next to you, Waggle.
Okay.
And he says, "Well, you don't, but if it were that easy, don't you think I would already have it? If you can obtain it, you will have my gratitude, which is worth quite a bit." And then he like presses down your thumb and goes, "Pew."
Shit.
I have a question. Why can't we just walk out the way we came?
Go ahead and try.
Sure, I'll try.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So as you rise up and attempt to walk out the front door, like everyone gets up out of the chairs to follow you to see what's going to happen. And as they watch you, does anyone else try and do this, by the way, or is it just Brandon that's doing this?
You got this, Brendan. We'll be watching you here.
Yep, I'll watch.
All right, I need you to roll a dexterity saving throw.
Oh no.
Oh no. Dexterity saving throw. Oh, it's a 20.
Okay, so because you got 20 or higher, it's not going to be that bad. When you get to the door, everything looks fine, and you just try and walk through it. And it's like when you belly flop in a pool where you're hitting something that has give, but it also feels like you're getting smacked by concrete. And as soon as you feel that, you're just launched backwards by a wave of force, and you see this blue shield light up that's surrounding the door. And at first it looks like it's just the door, and then the energy ripples through the walls, like the stone and the wood of this particular mansion. And then the Count says, "That is why." And when you get launched back, you just do some acrobatic shit, like some backflips and a couple cartwheels. You just go, ta-da!
Yeah, Mouser seeing all this stuff is going to be kind of very... he's very confused at the entire situation. And he just kind of wants to get moving forward, I think. He doesn't like talking to the blinky guy. In the meantime, he's going to stare at the kitty.
Was
So
that
awkward.
an entire fried chicken? Is that what he said? Like a whole chicken dipped in batter?
Oh yeah, it still had the
fried?
head and feathers on it and everything.
Oh my god.
Oh.
That was not in my cookbook.
But also, he had off-screen 9 more of them that he had already eaten.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
All right, Mouser, I'm going to need you to go ahead and roll a wisdom saving throw.
Again, wisdom's a strong suit. Yeah, okay. Roll the 10, minus 1, 9.
All right, so as you're having that thought of the I don't like this situation, I want to get away from this guy who's teleporting around, I guess the best way to put it is your brain gets itchy. Like, it just feels weird. There's this weird sensation going on in your dome piece, brother. And as you're thinking that, you kind of look over and you see the Count take the first steps that he's taken since he's been in your presence, and he approaches you and says, "Let me make this clear." And he holds up the key right in front of your face and says, "If you find other key, you get to leave. And you can stay away from the blinking man." And then he walks away.
Damn it. I was going to say that he like slowly tries to like take it from his hand. Not to like take it away from him, just to be like, yeah, like what is this shiny? Let me
Okay, cool.
see.
Let's go with it. So as you reach out, he kind of pulls his hand back and says, "You're not the first to come here. You're not the first I've invited here. And although there are 4 keys, this is the only one that's ever been recovered. It is in my possession. However, as a thank you for you all for coming, we're going to play a little game. And whoever wins will receive this key."
Ooh, let's go.
And he strides back into the library and sits down in his throne. And he's just like gesturing you. He's like, "Guys, come on. It's going to be really fucking weird if you guys all stay out there.
Weird? What do you mean?
If you're in the hallway and I'm in the library, it's going to be really fucking weird. I'm going to have to shout and everything. Like, just come in here and sit down. It's just going to be awkward. Let's just come in here, all right? I'm like 10 minutes from blinking away."
No, me, Mouser.
Wow.
What does weird mean?
"Oh, that's right. You're an idiot. The only words I could use to describe weird are more complicated than weird, so yeah." And he just like looks away and sees like everyone else, and then he says, "So wherever these keys are in this house will require intelligence and a strong arm, so I guess it's good the moron's here." And he winks at you and,
And he
points
looks
at you.
behind him.
"To make sure you all have the wherewithal needed, I'm going to pose a riddle for the key. Whoever gets it right gets the key. If you don't get it right, you may suffer a penalty. If none of you get it, then I clearly need a new group of strangers. I'm only going to say this once, so please pay attention."
Ed's got it. He went to Yale.
Fantasy Yale. Fail.
That's perfect.
Ouch.
All right, here we go. The room is silent for a moment, and then he begins. The first challenge. The Count says, "As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Every wife had 7 sacks. Every sack had 7 cats. Every cat had 7 kittens. Kittens, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives?" And he sits back in his chair and holds his hand out, and the key starts levitating above his hand. And I'm going to time you guys now for you to come up with a solution.
Can't multiply that fast.
Mouser is at the riddle of having, cats as part of the, as part of like the actual structure of it. He's going to like look over at Zara and be like, "Huh? Huh? This is like
That
this is your this
is racist.
What does that mean?"
Because of the cat.
Okay, I have a true question, which is I feel like Faye might get this, but what if my character is like not canonically intelligent enough to get this?
The way I look at it for the riddles is that I've known some stupid people who have figured out really hard riddles, so if you know it, just say it. Don't try and equate your intelligence of your character with this riddle.
Yeah, listener, Mouser's a fucking moron, but Garrett is a genius, certified genius.
You went to fail, people.
I went to fail, yeah.
The question is how many total people went to St. Ives?
Just how many were going to St. Ives?
And sacks are people.
How many? What's the riddle again?
He's only going to say it once.
I said I'd only say it once.
Since it's a riddle. This is not Mouser speaking. Since it's a riddle. Well, I don't know. Should I say anything? I don't know the answer specifically, but because it's a riddle, I want to say that all of the information is meant to confuse you. Typically, so isn't it like one person was going to St. Ives and he was just dragging everybody else along? So, excuse me. Therefore,
unfortunately, that buzzer that happened earlier, that was the timer,
shoot.
and you have missed your opportunity to answer. And then one of the other NPCs speaks up, and we're going to roll a dice to see who it is. It's Justonian, and Justonian says, it's clearly one. You said how many were going to say knives. The riddle starts with, as I was going to say knives. No one else was going to say knives. No one else was going anywhere. All that multiplication, totally unnecessary. Looks over at Brendan, who had just been writing furiously on the shillelagh. And in that moment, the Count says, you are correct. And he holds out his palm, and it floats over to Justonian, who just grabs it. And as he does, he looks like he's more vital. Like, you know, you say someone looks like they're glowing. Like, he looks like that. He is literally glowing too. So, and he just sort of tucks it into a pocket inside his little jacket. And then the Count says, so I think it's safe to say we have 3 different groups. We have my mercenaries, we have my bards, and then we have this ragtag band of strangers who's going to have to be our 3rd group. I would like someone within the mercenaries and the strangers to say whether or not this coin will be heads or tails. And the Try Guys get together and they're just like, I'm not going to fucking call it. You fucking call it. I don't want to fucking call it.
Master slams his axe that he's holding on the ground, like kind of like a Gandalf, you shall not pass, and goes, tails!
As soon as you say that, he flicks it in the air. And everyone's eyes watch it go up and come down. And he catches it. And I will roll a dice and tell you what it's going to come out. We're going to say tails is even, heads is odds. And it's a 4. So he catches it and he says, tails it is. And he turns to the mercenaries and he says, unfortunately for your group, someone is going to suffer a penalty. And then the lights flicker again, and the darkness lasts a little bit longer, and there's a massive lightning bolt outside with a huge crash of thunder that shakes the house again. And when the lights come up, I need you to all roll perception checks.
Murder.
Well, I rolled a 1.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even notice the lightning flash because you just had a really long blink that was poorly timed.
I was still multiplying.
I like that.
16.
Master gets 15.
11.
Zara, Mouser, you notice that the Count, despite the fact that he still looks like he hasn't moved, his feet are oriented very differently than before the lights went out. Like he did move, but the rest of him stayed the same. Then you notice that everyone else is staring at one particular thing. That is that I'm going to roll a d4 to see who this happened to. And that came up 4, which I guess it's not shocking considering the history of the name Eddard in fantasy and how that usually winds up. And it's kind of sad, but Eddard is laying on the ground with his throat ripped out, gargling,
just
trying
gone.
to speak his last words as blood is rushing out of the wound in his neck.
Oh, no.